Okay, today I'll be telling you the top 9 DBZ games for PlayStation 2. They ran one short, and it would have been a top 10 if they would have released one more. But since it's 9, here I go. Number 9, Dragon Ball Z Sagas. This game is garbage. It's the worst Dragon Ball Z game, in my opinion, ever. They call it an open sandbox game, yet you're restricted to the path. You can't do what you want. There's invisible walls everywhere. Every character is the same. Even if you beat the game and get the coolest character ever, not true, but in my opinion I like him, Broly, he's just like every other character. It's not worth beating. The story mode is the story, but until you get to the Android Saga, then you gotta fight these random robots or whatever. I don't know. The game's glitchy, and it just sucks. I would not play it. I'm gonna give it a 1 out of 10 at best. Even the cutscenes that are animated just look weird. Not worth playing at all. So, yeah, number 9. Let's move on to the next one. We have Super Dragon Ball Z. Now, unlike the last one, this game is actually decent. It's not the best game out of all of them, but it is okay. I like Super Dragon Ball Z. It's sort of like Street Fighter-esque Mortal Kombat, but not at the same time. It's got its own type of controls, which is kind of weird. I'm pretty sure this game came off a Japanese arcade machine, but I am not sure. Do not quote me on that. The only downside of this game is there's no story mode, and the characters are kind of limited. So, that's the only downside. Plus, the controls are kind of hard to get down, but once you get them down, it's pretty easy. So, that's the only downside in my opinion. But other than that, this is a decent game. I gave it a 6 out of 10. Also, that was number 8. Let's move on to number 7. Dragon Ball Z Infinite World. The last Dragon Ball Z game released on ps2 before they started making for newer... In fact, they had already made Burst Limit for the newer consoles. What to say about Infinite World? They said it is pretty much all the Budokai games put into one. Well, yes and no. If you say all the Budokais, you have to include the Tenkaichi series, even though it's a separate series. But if you're saying the normal Budokai thing, yes, sorta. Graphics are the best out of those 3. This game would easily surpass them. But you're asking, why is it so low on the list then? Well, in my opinion, it's not as fun. I mean, it's got a giant story mode style thing, but it's boring. I mean, people don't like Budokai 2 because of the whole board game map. Well, it kind of brings that back without the whole board game style. So it's just, hey, go fight. It's not. There's no story. It's boring. And, I don't know, it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. The only upside is they up the character roster by, I don't know, 6 or 7. They even added GT characters, which made it more fun. So, I'd give this a 6 out of 10 as well. But, I do like it just a bit more than Super Dragon Ball Z. Let's move on to number 6. Budokai Tenkaichi. This game, there's only one thing you can really say about it. It started the 3D Dragon Ball Z games. It's an okay game. You can't say it's good or bad. In fact, the only bad game out of all these, in my opinion, is Sagas. It's the only downside, in my opinion, of this game is its graphics. It didn't know what it wanted to be, or not the right words to say, but it's kind of clunky looking. It could have been better, in my opinion. In fact, there are a bunch of better 3D games. Yes, I know they're not as like this, but I think it could have looked a lot better. But other than that, it's a great game. The story mode's great, except for the restrictions on some levels. I think it's kind of weird. But other than that, story mode's fine. Fighting mechanic is fine. But it is improved in its sequels, obviously. But you gotta remember, this is the start of it. So I'm not gonna hold it to that. But other than that, it's a great game. It really is. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Let's move on to number 5. Budokai 2. I don't know why this game gets so much hate. It's actually a really good game. People don't like it for the story mode, which is a board game style game, and it's not the original story. Well, one upside, in my opinion, if you talk to any Dragon Ball Z fan now about games, they're going to say, oh, every game's the same because the story's the same. We want a new storyline. And you look at that. Xenoverse had a new storyline. Well, this one isn't, say, new, but it's not the original storyline. They actually threw something new in. Branching paths, some new stuff that could happen. I mean, Super Buu can absorb Cell and Frieza now, which is one of my favorite mechanics. Him being able to absorb those other characters, not just the 3 that we know he absorbed. That's cool to me. It's innovative. I love it. But everyone complained. I don't know. It improved on the controls of the original Budokai game, which obviously, since it hasn't been shown, will show up later on this list. But in my opinion, I just don't see why it gets the hate. The graphics look great too for a PS2 game. Maybe not the best, but still good. I'm sorry. Unlike all the haters, I actually really enjoy this game, and I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Next up on our list is Budokai Tenkaichi 2. This game is an amazing game. Is not flawless, but it is close in my opinion. The controls are easily the best, and the graphics improved on Tenkaichi exponentially. Plus, the roster is increased so much. It's such a great game. It really is. The story mode is probably the best part of it. It has everything. It is literally everything. What if scenarios? It's just I'm speechless about how great this game is. But you're probably wondering why it's not even higher on the list. Well, that's because just because it's a great game doesn't make it. What's the word? I don't know what the word is, but one of those. It's just nostalgic, I guess. It's a great game, and it's probably the one I've played the most out of all these games. But it just doesn't hit me that well. Yes, it's great, but it's just not the game. I know you're going to think, wow, this guy's stupid for saying that, but hey, I'm still giving it an 8 out of 10. In fact, no, change that to 9 out of 10 because it is a really great game. These last 3 all have special places in my heart. Not one of them should be ranked over the other, but this is the order I have chosen. Next is Dragon Ball Z Budokai. I lost the actual case for it, so I just put it in here. This is the start of the Budokai series. In fact, the start of Dragon Ball Z for PS2. The best part about this is easily the cutscenes for the story mode. They made 3D rendered cutscenes that looked great for PS2 at the time. It was amazing. The controls were innovative. It was just amazing. And the what if scenarios at the end of some missions were hilarious, like Cell absorbing Krillin by accident. This game is just amazing. It's pretty much, in my opinion, started Dragon Ball Z for America. It is great. This is probably the most nostalgic game for me. This is the first Dragon Ball Z game I ever played. In fact, the first game I ever played on PS2. I literally love this game. I will give it a 9 out of 10. Next up is Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3. This game improved on what Tenkaichi 2 had, but not in the better way. It gave you the most characters out of any Dragon Ball Z fighting game. Yes, but the story mode sucked, which is why you're thinking, why is this higher? Well, it has the most replayability, in my opinion. Because of all the characters, each character is not the same either. There's a bunch of characters you can use. And that's why I think it's better. And plus, I've played this game more than I did that one. I lied about that. So, yes, I will give this game a 9 out of 10. You probably know the last game, but here it is. Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. This game is my favorite. It is the most nostalgic. It is the best game. The graphics amazing. The story mode amazing. Each character you could play in story mode has a different story, and some of them have branching lines that are amazing. The graphics amazing. The replay amazing. I'm just fanboying over this game because it is literally my favorite Dragon Ball Z game ever, even out of the newer ones. There's even replayability once you've beaten all the story modes with Dragon Arena, World Tournaments. This game is, in fact, out of all Dragon Ball Z games, this is the only one that will get a 10 out of 10 in my list. This is my favorite, and in the end, is the best Dragon Ball Z game for PS2. I'm Axel R, and thanks for listening to my list.